But week one kicked off with a bang. Our boy Brandon McNulty. It started in Lisbon. I think the crew, the road crew, after what he did to the road, averaged 57 kilometers an hour in time trial. I think the road crews are still down there probably fixing the pavement, right? I mean, that's some will say that's the fastest time trial of all time. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move podcast. We are talking about the Tour of Spain, the Vuelta a España. We've mentioned this a few times in other shows, but you know, there's three grand tours in cycling. We all know there's the Tour de France. I actually get questions a lot about, what is the second biggest race, right? And the other big stage races, of course, are the Tour of Italy and the Tour of Spain. This one is the final grand tour of the season. We're going to get into a lot of the action, most of which, full disclosure, yours truly has missed. Been traveling, been moving around, getting the kids back in school. But these two guys got it covered. Those two guys, of course, Johan Brunel, who knows everything, who just had a birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Johan.
Thank you very much. Thank you. 6-0, man. I can't believe it.
Well, you know what? It's just keep getting older. It's better. It's better than not. You know, when you don't get older, it's not a good outcome.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
By the way, are you in Mallorca, Johan?
I am in Mallorca still. I had a nice birthday party here and enjoying the island.
Man. And Christian just down there kicking your ass on the bike.
Oh yeah, no, it's not even. He's kicking my ass off the bike and on the bike. So yeah, well, getting used to that.
That's teenagers for you. Nobody asked me, but I'm sitting in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm over here I got an event tomorrow, so I just got in. And yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to report other than that. And George, you're not at home. I know that. Where we should just have a whole. We should have a whole series of like, where is George?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what kind of fancy thing is he doing?
Just another time you're in the Southeast and didn't even let me know you're going. Like basically close to my house. Just one more time. But I'm actually in Courchevel, France, which we all know very well. I think the last time we were here, Alejandro Valverde may have won the stage, Johan, and Lance, you were fighting for the overall, and we had like a really fun lead out with Popovich and Sabadelli. And I think it was like a 16K climb, Johan, right?
Yeah.
Today's climb.
Yeah.
They built a new road in 2018 that goes to the top of Col de la Los, and it was like a 32K climb from bottom to top. So it was quite tough, and it's just what an incredible part of the world.
That's
fun
actually
to be here.
For the people who watch cycling a lot. This is the climb where last year Tadej Pogačar had his crisis. You know, the famous "I'm done, I'm finished."
But the other side, the Maryville or Maryville or something like that.
Oh, so okay.
It goes up the other way. We came up the Courchevel side.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're doing an event there, George? Was it Haute Route?
Yeah, I'm doing the Haute Route Alps with our good friend Pavel, and I'm kind of shepherding him along the mountains. It's been super fun. He's riding great. He's leading the 50 plus category.
Guy's a beast. He's a total beast. You know what? I want you to tell Pavel hi. And I also want you to tell him that I'm so glad I'm not there, because this boy can hammer on the bike. Like he can hammer. Dude, I feel for you.
Yeah.
By the way, too, Courchevel, that's like the swanky, of course. That's like the swanky. That's like the Aspen of the Alps. That's right.
Yes, that's exactly what they call it, the Aspen of France. And tomorrow we're doing also your favorites, Lance, the Madeleine, the Glendon, and Alpe d'Huez. Which I'm going to try to stop and take a picture of your switchback. Apparently you have two of them. So I'm going to try to stop and take a photo.
I did one twice, so
send it out. Yeah.
And, you know, I also think of the Haute Route when I think of Brian Fogel's documentary Icarus. All right. That's sort of how it all got started, was him training for Haute Route. And what started as one project, at least this is my view, what started as one project while he was preparing for this turned into a completely different project, as we all know. And he went on to win the Academy Award.
I didn't realize that.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yep. You should listen to the podcast. You know, I had him on the Forward many years ago.
I know. I listened to it a while ago, but I didn't realize, I didn't put two together that it was this event. But it's it's interesting. Fun event.
Yeah, there's pieces of it in there, but better. Good for you, George. We'll do a little business and then we'll get into the action. We got 1 week of action. There's been, while I haven't caught every stage every morning, I've certainly read a lot. Boy, just reading, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, which has led to a whole lot of question marks, which of course we're going to get into. Primarily, can give a guy like Ben O'Connor that much time? Dangerous. We never, that's not something we would have done. And perhaps a mistake. And now they're going to spend the rest of the time trying to claw it back. But before we do, today's show brought to you by Ventum. Of course, we got the Ventum trivia. We did it every day during the tour. We'll do it every week here during the Tour of Spain. Last week, Johan and the crew asked 3 athletes have won the Vuelta 3 times: Contador, Rominger, and Roglič. Which rider has won the race 4 times? All right. So the answer to that from last week was our old teammate, Roberto Heras, won the Tour of Spain 4 times. For this week's, the trivia is last year's winner of the Tour of Spain is from the United States. His name is Sepp Kuss. The question is, what city and state is he from? Now, this is not a tough one, right? So that's the question. And all you got to do is head on over to ventumracing.com/TheMove. Enter your name, put in your answer. Ventum also makes amazing bikes. I know I just flew out here. I got my GS1 with me. This gravel bike is money. I'm assuming you're riding around and doing the whole route on your NS1.
Yeah, and I'm getting stopped everywhere saying,
"Are you really?
What kind of bike is that?" Because I'm on my custom NS1, and people are asking me all about it. They're loving it.
Bunch of special deals. The SRAM Apex AXS GS1. It's got the minted GS1 colorway, $29.99. Full electronic SRAM Apex shifting, same full carbon frame found on the highest end GS1s, exclusively available in the minted colorway. Listeners of The Move can get 20% off any Ventum bike during the Tour of Spain, aka the Vuelta, by using the code THEMOVE20 at checkout. And again, that's ventumracing.com/TheMove. Also today brought to you by our friends Ketone IQ. I'm going to just tell you a true story. It's because we talk about Ketone IQ so much, and obviously just finished the tour. It is a daily occurrence that somebody is asking me about ketones and Ketone IQ specifically. I said, look, I find it to be absolutely effective. I said, give it a shot. And the feedback is insane. Like, people are like, wow. Even, check this out, even my wife was like, maybe I should try Ketone IQ. I said, yeah, the refrigerator is full of it. And she tried it the other day and she's like, holy shit, this works. I mean, it's, and it does. Like, and so if anybody out there is listening to this show and thinking about asking me this question in the next month, don't. I just answered it for you. By the way, they also have a partnership with Visma Lisa Bike. Check this out. Riders now take Ketone IQ throughout the entire stage, plus working with them, with the team on research studies with the University in Leuven on how ketones improve performance and recovery. 30% off your first subscription order, plus a free 6-pack when you use the link ketone.com/TheMove. That's ketone.com/TheMove. All right, let's talk about week one. Week one kicked off with a bang. Our boy Brandon McNulty. It started in Lisbon. I think the crew, the road crew, after what he did to the road, averaged 57 kilometers an hour in the time trial. I think the road crews are still down there probably fixing the pavement, right? I mean, that's some will say that's the fastest time trial of all time. Debatable, but, and for those who think in miles, now I got to try to translate. I mean, that's around 35 miles an hour time trialing. Insane.
It's insane. I mean, 12 kilometers flat, yes, not very technical, but 12 minutes, 35 seconds only. And he didn't, I mean, I think there's 3 or 4 guys who went close to 57 kilometers per hour, but great start for McNulty. A bit surprised that he couldn't stay into contention until now, but to me, it looks like he's bouncing back. So I think we're going to see him in more stages in the last part of the Vuelta. But I mean, he did beat Wout van Aert, who was the big favorite, to win the first time trial. And amazing for him. In the Stars and Stripes American champion time trial, to win that first time trial was really, really a good start for him.
Well, and also Johan, I think he focused really heavily on the Olympic time trial. Ended up getting fifth place. Was really disappointed about not being there. Perhaps his preparation might have been a little bit altered for a Grand Tour, but I mean, think about this guy for the future. I mean, a 57 kilometer an hour time trial. We know he can climb like nobody's business, and he might not be there with the top guys right now, but what an incredible talent he is. And we hope to see him continue to progress in the Grand Tours. We've seen him do his job for Pogačar in the Tour de France, and he's not done in this Vuelta by any means.
And I did catch the prologue, by the way, but if you believe the commentators, and I just think that because we saw Wout van Aert ride, and this is getting a little technical, but you saw Wout van Aert ride a front disc wheel in the Olympics, which I thought was peculiar. We haven't seen that in
very long time.
30 years, maybe 30 years.
The last one that I can remember actually vividly is Bernard Hinault.
Well, that's 40 years. So yeah. So and they were saying that he was actually considering a front disc for this prologue of the Tour of Spain, which a very different course than the Olympics. That one, the Olympics were more sheltered. You could sort of control the variables of crosswind and sudden crosswinds. This one, I thought there is no. I was like, wow, this guy's got some stones to try that.
Yeah, well, I think it was a smart decision because it was windy. It would not have helped. I mean, and they have it down to the detail, so they knew exactly what they were doing at Visma. But yeah, McNulty starts, and then we go straight into a few bunch sprints, and we were all waiting. The long-awaited victory of Wout van Aert. It had been a while since he has won. Right. And the first bunch sprint, he didn't manage to win it. There was Caden Groves who came from behind him and won the sprint. Then afterwards, we did win another stage. So he has 2 stage wins until now. Is solidly in the lead for the green jersey. But finally, he got his stage win. It had been a long time since he could raise his arms. And looking back, I mean, he had not won in a Grand Tour since 2022. So he didn't win this year. He didn't win last year. And he's been pursuing that win for a while. And, the happiness we could see after that first victory of Wout van Aert and the relief was really nice to see. I think he's back to where he deserves to be.
Arguably could have had maybe 3 wins. I think he threw his bike a bit early against Pavel Bittner. Threw it kind of for the first line instead of the middle line.
He threw it twice. I've never seen that before. He did 2 bike.
Yeah, I know. I think that was just a sort of a mental error. But incredible for him to win 2 stages. And I'm sure that he really needed that for his morale. And, been through a lot this year. So it's good to see him back on the top step. Yeah. And not only that, but what Sepp Kuss did for him on the second stage win was incredible. Past winner of the Tour of Spain, putting it all on the line, and Wout was just singing his praises like crazy after the finish line, saying a guy like that who's won the Tour of Spain, pulling on the front for me at 60 kilometers an hour, he was blown away by the commitment that Sepp Kuss showed him for the win there.
Yeah, without Sepp Kuss, George, Wout van Aert doesn't win that stage. It's as simple as that. There was about 35, 40 riders left, and he only had 1 teammate left, and Sepp Kuss on top of that, who's supposed to be the rider for GC, and he emptied himself during the last 15, 20 kilometers, and Wout was very, 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 very grateful and appreciative for that help.
Johan, you would know better, but it seems like Wout van Aert, and there's always guys within a team. Look, and Wout van Aert's one of the top 5 riders in the world, so everybody watches him. I think we watch him maybe through a different lens, at least maybe it's just me, but you look and see how they exist in the team and sort of the reverence there is within the team. It seems like he is really looked up to in that team. His results say that he should be, but I think he's a very well-liked rider in the team, and guys want to work for him.
Yeah, they want to work for him. I mean, also, I mean, first of all, he's somebody who shows he can win races. I mean, if you work for somebody, you may as well work for somebody who can finish it off, right? So, but he's a very likable guy. And then on top of that, I think what's mostly appreciated in Visma is the amazing work he has done for Vingegaard in the Tour. I think it's safe to say that, he was probably 50% of the team at some point in the Tour de France. And now you can also feel that they really want to give something back. Not just the rider, but especially the management. They're valuing him a lot. And, with all the respect that is due to Sepp Kuss as the defending champion of the Vuelta. But to me, it seems like Visma is prioritizing Wout van Aert, his performance, his well-being, and his happiness within the team in this Tour of Spain. That's my impression.
Yeah. And then, of course, what other thing? I mean, we have to talk about, I think there is one major story of week one, and that is, as we touched on at the top of the show, Ben O'Connor. But there, other highlights that we might have missed.
Well, we had.
Johan, in the pre-show, you talked about the heat. Are we not? Sorry.
Yeah, the heat has been incredible. If you look at the map of the Tour of Spain, you start in Portugal all the way down, then you have 5 stages all in the south. Combine this end of August, 37, 38, 40 degrees. If you put in one sentence, end of August, and the cities of Seville, Cordoba, and Granada, that's not good. That's not a good combination. I mean, nobody wants to go there because they want to go there at that time of the year. It's an oven. And we've seen people with problems. We've seen Thymen Arendsman, who had to be in the ambulance after one of the stages with overheating. And then the guy who sat in fourth until yesterday, Antonio Tiberi, who was a big candidate for the white jersey, was already fifth in the Giro. The leader of Bahrain had to abandon with a heat stroke yesterday. And then, I've seen quite a few complaints of the riders. There's a debate, we've all known when the Vuelta shifted from April, May to September. Now it's not really September anymore. It's mid of August and beginning of September. So I've seen some debates that would it not be good to delay it by 2 weeks? Because 2 weeks in the summer in Spain makes a big difference. I mean, you guys have been in September in Spain, in Mallorca, and it's very pleasant, right? So I don't know if that would not be a good idea, because it would also give more space between the Tour and the Vuelta to recover and to prepare better for the Vuelta. So that's maybe something that the UCI should think about.
And are we talking about like Tour Down Under heat, like 40 degrees?
Oh yeah, I mean, Michael Woods was saying it was over 110 degrees.
Oh no,
on that one day, and it was and he was complaining about the weather protocol. Yeah, there's cold weather protocol, snow protocol, but it doesn't make any sense that they wouldn't, implement a hot weather protocol. I mean, 110 degrees plus is not healthy for these guys, and you can see, like Johan said, a lot of guys just can't handle it. I mean, it's just not a healthy thing, and
it has to take away from the racing. Right? You have to imagine that just nullifies or sort of mutes some of the action. I mean, you have to.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, one thing to think about, maybe. I mean, I know it's not ideal for viewership, but these stages start at 1:00.
Yeah.
And they finish at 5:30. I mean, if you start these stages early and you finish by midday, it would make a big difference. You would at least have 3 hours, which are a more pleasant temperature, 6-7 degrees less. I think it would be beneficial for the overall outcome of the race.
Yeah. And we also need to talk about, I know we're jumping around a bit. We're obviously going to cover Ben O'Connor's attack and, the tactics that went on behind that, which I'm sure we all don't agree with. But Matthew Riccatello on the first mountain stage finish, I think he ended up 5th place. What an incredible ride. And unfortunately, a day or two later, he crashed out of the Vuelta. But it was like we mentioned on the pre-show, Johan, he had a great climb, super impressive, up there with the best in the world on the top of that finish climb. So we wish him well and hope to see him back on the road very soon.
I think he's still in the Vuelta, George, if I'm not mistaken. He crashed.
No.
He abandoned.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I missed that.
Boy, that's Johan. Wait a minute.
Hey,
newsflash.
Sorry.
It was the same day that Uran got out of the Vuelta.
Uran, I mean, what a way to finish his career. I mean, you know, his last
broken hip,
end of his career. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a harsh sport.
Yeah, it is. We're going to get into, of course, the biggest story of the week, and that is Ben O'Connor. I mean, I'll just tease it out. I mean, I watched part of the Netflix series, and with that episode, I don't know Ben O'Connor, and I don't really I haven't followed him. He's had some good rides, but that was a tough episode to watch, I thought. It was just. I think he probably won a do-over on that one.
Well, in his defense, Lance, we all know how it works with documentaries.
No, I understand.
They can portray somebody how they want him to be. I don't think that was the ideal outcome for the personality of Ben O'Connor.
You're right. Okay, fair play. Yeah. Well, then he got screwed on the edit. For sure. And he's not the only one. Okay, but for right now, he is the story of this Tour of Spain. And that would be, I believe he's leaving the team. Yeah. I'm sure he got some blowback from that episode in the series. But now he's leading the Tour of Spain and you know, probably, I'm sure he lays awake at night wondering if he'll get the last laugh. We'll get into all of that. Before we do, today's show also brought to you by AG1. Morning routines are critical to me. One of the most important parts of my routine is drinking my AG1. I drink it before working out, right before making my coffee, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. Just like I'm doing something good for my body. You know, I'm not great about, although I did just have lunch, and I promise everybody listening, I had some greens, I had some vegetables, but that's a rare occurrence for me. AG1 is my hack. I love to say, and I mean it, it is like taking control of your health. If there is one product I trust to support my whole body health, it is AG1. And that's why I've partnered with them for so long. It's easy and satisfying to start your journey with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Head on over to drinkag1.com/themove. That's drinkag1.com/themove. And I have another plea to the entire team at AG1. My wife stole my D3 K2. This is also a true story. She stole it the other day. So I need more, please. All right. Talk about Ben O'Connor. By the way, we were all there, right? And, what year was it? In 2001, we gave one of the Simone brothers a lot of time. And we were not that worried about it. But
33 minutes to
it's different than 5 or 6 minutes, but it nonetheless, the dynamic is just the same. You start looking ahead and you start looking at these stages, and you have to, you're like, okay, that day we'll probably get 5 minutes back. We might get 10 minutes, right? And so you just start calculating, how are we going to chip away at this thing? 33 minutes is a lot different than 5 or 6. And Ben O'Connor has had some GC results, right? So now you're Primož Roglič, who, boy, he played possum real good before this Vuelta. He did. I'm hurt, and I don't know, and he looks great. But can he reel Ben O'Connor back in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think first of all, Lance, 33 minutes to Simon is not the same as 5 minutes to O'Connor. Simon was never to be considered a GC rider. Ben O'Connor has finished 4th in the Tour de France and 4th in this year's Giro. It's different.
I think we all could agree on that. I think for most people, and I think George backed me up here, most people see that and say, well, what do you mean you can't hold on to a 33-minute lead? Like, it's for the average fan, you're like, oh no, there is no way they can't. There's no way you could close half an hour.
The average fan, I was pissed that we gave him 33 minutes. I was on the radio going, guys, this is ridiculous. And the point being, Johan, I'm sure you're in the back of the car doing a lot of analysis. What is the best climb this guy's done? What has he done before in his career? You probably didn't know him that well. But Ben O'Connor, it's obvious. I mean, the guy's a GC rider, 4th place in the Tour. And, of course, the director. And we're talking about Red Bull-Bora, one of the top 3 biggest teams in the world, that has a guy who's won the Tour of Spain 3 times Like, I don't see any reason to give 7 minutes. Once you have a breakaway of 13 guys, they're not going to work together that well. It's not that hard to keep them within 4 minute gap. You just
George,
put a couple of guys in the front.
Yeah, I think you're seeing it wrong. I think first of all, I think they didn't really give it to O'Connor. O'Connor earned it, and he rode for it like crazy. I think what the teams did, they got the breakaway perfectly under control. Because if you look at the whole breakaway, there's only a few guys who just come in with 1 minute, the best guys of the breakaway. The problem is that O'Connor outperformed everybody in that breakaway. He was on a different level than everybody else, and he kept gaining time. He did the ride of his life, in my opinion. He was on a day, like one of those days that you fly. And it was obvious. I mean, I think that he actually said, I've never felt so good in my life on a bicycle.
I don't want to take anything away from his performance. It was incredible. But you have a guy that finished second in the Giro. You have Vlasov, one of the best climbers in the world. I think at some point you have to make a decision where we got to go all in here. They weren't doing anything. For a while, they were letting Movistar do all the work, and they were trying to play possum, say, we don't care, let them go. I think it was a mistake. I'm not saying the race is over by any means, but why put so much more pressure on a guy like Primož that it is a clear favorite for the Vuelta, has won it 3 times, has one of the best teams backing him. No excuses, in my opinion.
For sure,
why do that?
Sure. And also, I would add to that also, George, is that, how much easier it would have been if there was some kind of alliance between the team, because you see one team pulling and the other team is not pulling. While Movistar was pulling, Red Bull was not helping. When you can't just come in when the others are done. You need to make decisions. And from what I hear, those things don't happen that often anymore. Like, certain deals for a common interest between certain teams, that doesn't happen anymore. And I think that's also one of the reasons why that breakaway got where they were. And when it was time to really go, O'Connor put it in the 6th gear and they didn't have anything left in the bunch.
Yeah.
But
here we are.
I would be really, really concerned, because Ben O'Connor if you look at this year's Giro d'Italia, right? So you have Pogačar, who's on a different level, different competition. But, Dani Martinez was on a super high level. Geraint Thomas was 3rd. And Ben O'Connor is just behind, a few seconds behind those guys. It's not that long ago that he proved that he can do it, riding with the best, not profiting from a breakaway, actually, but being up there with everybody else. He has a pretty good team, I would say. He has with Felix Gall, who's riding really, really well. He does go to another team, but listen, Decathlon, if they're in a position to win a Grand Tour, they're going to kill for it, even if the rider leaves. So I would be very concerned if Ben O'Connor stays within himself and tries to, limit his losses. Personally, I would actually say that the biggest threat for Ben O'Connor, after what I've seen in the last few stages, is becoming actually Enric Mas. Enric Mas is the best Enric Mas we've seen ever. Yeah. He's been the guy who was able to follow Primož and in every single uphill. And yesterday, he's the guy who managed to drop him. And Enric Mas is traditionally a different rider in the Vuelta than in any other stage race. Now,
by the way, Ben O'Connor is from Perth in Australia, which I'd never been to Perth, but it gets hot. Right. So you always start to we just talked about the heat. You talk about this league. Can he hold on? Can he stay within himself? Can he manage the field? Can he manage the heat? He grew up riding in super hot weather, racing in hot weather. That's not a guarantee that somebody can manage the heat, but he's been exposed to it.
Yeah. But anyway, after all, we have to consider, I think we are right now in a situation. There's Ben O'Connor, who's comfortably in the lead with 3 minutes 50 on Primož and 4.5 minutes on Enric Mas. I think those 3 are the best climbers. But we have, after yesterday's stage, we have Richard Carapaz got back into the race. He's doing what he usually does. He loses a bit of time. He did an amazing ride yesterday. We have Adam Yates, who gets back into the race. Personally, I have my doubts if Adam Yates is here for GC or not. But especially if you look at what's still to come. this we've said it in the pre-show, George. In terms of terrain, the Tour of Spain is the hardest one of the three this year.
Yeah.
It was 42,000 meters of climbing in the Giro, 53,000 in the Tour, and 62,000 in the Vuelta. And more than half of it is still in front of us. Plus, in the favor of Primož Roglič, we finished with a 24-kilometer time trial. So I think it's a very open race. And for now, I really don't dare to say, okay, this is the guy who's going to win. It's very, very open.
Well, could it come down, right? You could see a world where they chip away, and he's got a minute going into. I mean, if he has, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but maybe we do. If he has a minute going into that final time trial, that's probably not enough. But obviously, he's motivated, and we'll see.
He's
Who
not
knows?
a bad time trialist.
I didn't know that. No, but Roglič is. I think Roglič is a minute better. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. That's crazy, though. That stat. What did you say? 42,000, 53,000, and 62,000.
62,000. Yeah.
That's with this heat.
Yeah.
And yesterday was, or they all knew that climb really well. They all do training camps there. Apparently, Roglič on some certain days he would do that climb 3 times in one day. So would Sepkus in training camps. Roglič said he didn't have a great day. He was backwards hurting.
He definitely did not have a great day. We could see that.
But on the days before, when he had a good day, he took 45 seconds out of him in a 4K climb or even less. But those are explosive efforts that we all know in a Grand Tour, they chip away, their match is burned, which he wouldn't have had to do that had he, kept them a little bit more in check. But like you said, Johan, maybe they didn't have the option that day. They just weren't, they couldn't hold him under 6 minutes.
And where is Ben O'Connor going next year?
To Jaco. Home team. Right.
And they're in this race. And they're in this race. Obviously. Yeah. Whitey's team.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No, I think it's a great move for him and for the team. And he's definitely going to feel a lot better. The guy doesn't speak French and the guys in Decathlon don't speak English. So it's going to be a good move for him.
So tomorrow's a tough day, Johan, as well. I think
tomorrow's tough. I mean, it's a difficult day after a rest day. So the advantage is that now for the majority of the race, they stay north. They are in Galicia now. They stay north. So I spoke to Victor Hugo Peña, who's there, and it's 8, 9, sometimes 10 degrees less. So it's going to be a lot better. Instead of 39, it's 28, 29 degrees. That makes a big difference.
Yeah. But the way the race is unfolding, I mean, we're going to have to see all these mountain stages are going to be opportunities for Roglič and Mas to chip back time. We saw Mas right away from Roglič yesterday. I think it's an exciting race. I think it's going to, we're going to keep seeing a lot of really big attacks. And I think it's going to keep us on our toes for the next 10 days.
For sure.
Well, there's a lot of parallels here between Ben O'Connor at the Tour of Spain and George at the Haute Route. You guys got about a 5-minute lead.
Yeah,
and you got one day
leading by 5 minutes.
Poppy is you got 5 minutes. You got tomorrow. You got what'd you say, the Madeleine, Glendon.
It was kind of funny today. We're on this 32 clay climb up to Col de la Luz, and I go, Poppy, we're good. Like I think we're doing okay. He's like, have you the guy in second behind Poppy or whatever place, the nearest competitor to him is a Russian guy. He's like, have you heard any Russian today? I go, no. He goes, okay, we're good. so far we're good.
Wow. Yeah. Dude, he didn't know who he was asking. I mean, George, say one word in Russian.
Thank you. Right?
Nastrovia. Perestroika.
Yeah.
George, and now I'm curious about this whole route thing. Does everybody start together? So you have to kind of, I mean, you might be next to a 30-year-old and a 7-year-old, so you have to figure out who. Okay.
It's a really cool concept, actually. You start together, neutral start, and then there's time section. So you only rate, like, for instance, tomorrow we just race up the Madeleine, then it's neutral. You can go as easy as you want. You can stop. Like we stopped for coffee the other day in the middle of the race because it doesn't matter until the time section. So it's kind of unique in that sense. And it's actually much safer. I mean, you don't want these amateur guys racing down these descents. We remember how dangerous they are. And That's not a good thing. So it's good that they make us race up the climbs and not down them.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is. I never
we are rooting for Pavel. We are rooting for Pavel.
And we're very confident because we've ridden with this guy.
Yeah.
He hammers.
He's going to do it. He'll do it. He'll do it.
All right. So we'll be back in a week. I mean, look, we'll see what happens this week. All things considered. It makes for an interesting race.
Definitely.
Can you hang on?
Yeah.
TBD.
Exciting. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you guys go to George. You're going to go to bed. Johan, you're still going to dinner, apparently.
I need to go to dinner. I delayed my dinner so I could be with you guys here for this show. So.
And you're over there with Noel?
Yep.
Well,
the whole crew. I will
tell all of them, the whole family, we're sorry that we had to delay their dinner because we're talking about 200 skinny guys riding around in spandex in Spain. Right?
Yeah.
They will understand.
Yeah, they will. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in a week to see what happens. Who knows?
Okay.
All right.
Ciao.
See you next week.
Thanks, y'all.
Ciao.